fruit season, and this is the tail end of cherries, but we got some cherries on sale and we also got blueberries on sale. So I am canning up cherries and blueberries whole, just in a light syrup. Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kathryn, the Aerogarden Homesteader. Today I am canning whole fruit. So this is a new one for me. We normally did the jams and the pie fillings, but we're not very much into jams and pie fillings. So we're trying something different this time as a way to preserve the fruit, but still be able to use it kind of as fruit. So I'm hoping this will work with baked oatmeal. I am going to be doing cherries and blueberries. I have two different kinds of pitters. So I have noticed this style, you know, it wears on your hand after a while, so does this one, but this one tends to work a little bit better for the big cherries, and this one I find works better for the smaller cherries, especially pie cherries. Pie cherries are tiny. I mean, they're even smaller than this one. So I've got different sizes in here. I might enlist some help, so just find the one that works best for you. I don't have one of those industrial or whatever they are, the mass cherry pitters where you just push the thing and a whole bunch go through. I don't have that, so we're doing it by hand today. I also have, I know you're not going to be able to see this, but I'll move you over. I also have, this is a gallon of water, and I'm going to be putting in some ascorbic acid tablets. So I had to look this up. It takes 3,000 milligrams of ascorbic acid to get the water going. I've got 500, so I'm going to need 6 tablets. Can't do the math. Thought I had 1,000 milligram tablets, but I don't. But there you go. So I'm going to crush these up in the water, and this will help keep the fruit from browning. Actually, I'm just going to let them dissolve for a minute, but this will help keep my fruit from browning. So as I pit my cherries, I'm going to put them directly into here, and I'm going to save the pits in the 4-cup measuring cup because, hey, I can make cherry pit vinegar. And I'll show you how that works as well. And then it's not on right now, but I brought out the big, huge canning pot. So this was going to be for steam canning today. And surprisingly enough, it actually fits 12 jars in one layer. And I have my thing for my for my pressure canner that I can put on top so I can add more on top. So I'm kind of hoping I can get a whole layer of cherries and then a whole layer of blueberries. But we'll have to see how many jars I fill up with cherries. I might just be doing one batch just of cherries, and then I'll have to do the blueberries separate. Now, the blueberries and the cherries pretty much go the same way, so I'll try to not have too much redundancy in this video because, you know, I don't know about you, but I hate watching the same thing over and over again. And yeah, these tablets don't dissolve very well. I'm probably going to have to crush them up and get them dissolved that way. So I will be back after I deal with that. Alright, I ended up having to crush the tablet against the bottom of the pot with a spoon, but it's done. So these cherries have been picked through, so I wanted to make sure I had firm cherries, no soft ones, no major blemishes. They'll look pretty good. I also made sure that they weren't soft. You want them to be firm. And then I gave them a nice rinse, and I am ready to go. So I am going to just start with one, and we'll see how we go. So I like to just line up the top so I'm punching through where the stem end was, but you know what? It kind of doesn't matter. This is just me being anal, but you know what? You do you. I do notice that when pitting cherries, sometimes the bottom will pop off and it'll stay with the pit, and other times it will actually stay on and just be a flap. So doesn't really matter, doesn't really affect things, but you do have to be careful that the pit does come off and it doesn't just stick to the bottom and end up in your jars. So those are just the things to be mindful of. Also, try to not do too much repetitive stuff without a break because it's not good for the body or the wrist. I know that canning season can be just a rough time when you're standing there doing the same thing over and over again, but that's where we're at. It's hot today, and unfortunately I don't have an outdoor canning station, so this is just happening in the house. We're just going to have to deal with the hit to the AC, but you know what? It is what it is. So really, in the grand scheme of things, you do not need to sit here and watch me pit a ton of cherries, so I will just turn this part off and I will bring you back when I get to the next part. So hopefully that won't take too long, but we'll see. Okay, I just want to show you that pitting cherries is definitely very messy. It even went in the pot that was just sitting here. Got it on my paper towel in the back, my knife block. I swear it's got like a 3-foot splatter radius. So definitely make sure you take things off your counter and you're wearing an apron. So everything has been pitted. I did get a little splash as I was dropping them in, but what I'm going to do, this took a little over half an hour. So I feel like I am done. I'm not going to sit here and cut the big ones in half. It is possible to just do them whole without pitting, but you have to poke a hole in them. So I'm paying myself forward. I'm taking the pits out now so I don't have to deal with it later. And I'm just going to drain this liquid because this has the ascorbic acid in it. And I think I'm probably going to have to use this same pot because I think the other pot there is probably a little too small. I will be hot packing these just because it's going to take a little less processing time. It's still going to heat the house up the same amount, but I can process these for the same amount of time as I can process the blueberries, and I was hoping to do those both together. And I will probably, I think I have to hot pack the blueberries too. I think I can raw pack those, but just put boiling water on them. I got to double check that. But while these are heating up and getting going, I am going to pick through and wash the blueberries. Don't wash your blueberries until you are literally ready to use them. They will spoil a lot faster that way, from what I understand. And yeah, the messy pot here I will probably use to get the blueberries going. Yeah, it just went everywhere. Yeah. Okay. It is time to get this show on the road. So my jars have been warming up. My cherries are nice and hot. I am going to be doing a light syrup, and I did do a test run earlier. I filled up one of my jars with just the unpitted cherries to see how much water it would take, and it takes about a cup of water to fill in all the voids. So if I put in 2 tablespoons of sugar with my cup of water, I should have about a 13% solution, which is between light and extra light, which in my opinion that's a decent amount. I don't want to have it too sugary because, I mean, cherries are pretty sweet on their own, so, you know, your mileage may vary depending on what kind of cherries you're using, but this is how I'm doing it. Now you could make a syrup sugar syrup, or you can just make it in the jar. Make it in the jar, then you know every jar has the same amount of sugar in it, even if the water is slightly different. So if you're making, you know, baked oatmeal and you want to throw in all of the sugar that's in there, then you know how much is in there. But, you know, you do you. I saw this on someone else's YouTube channel. I don't remember who did it. So if you saw someone else do it, link it below so I can, you know, see if that was the person. But I like to give credit where credit is due. This is not my idea. I would have just made a sugar syrup and poured it on. So, okay, you want about a 1/2 inch headspace, but I want all of the fruit to be in the liquid. We're just going to fill this up. You put a little bit of water in at the beginning. It does help with the air bubbles. Okay, something to wipe the rim. I will pull out my debubbling tool, but I think I'm probably good. Should always debubble though. So work that down the sides a little. Get those all underneath. Yep, see, it did have some voids. There we go. So we'll wipe again. And I will get some lids. And then we go. One of who knows how many. And I will be using the same liquid from the cherries to do the blueberries, because I figure it's already hot water and the blueberries won't care if they taste slightly like cherries. I won't care. I'm probably the one who's going to be eating it. Alright, there we go. So yeah, I will fast forward through this because you really don't need to see this. It's a lather, rinse, repeat. I did go through and I picked through my blueberries, so they are, got rid of all the squishy ones. If there are any that were really red or just green underripe, I did take those out, although I didn't really find any this time. I have found them in the past, but not this time. And stems and blossoms. So took all those off, and they are just, they've been rinsed, they are ready to go. So this will follow on the heels of the cherries. And we're going to see how much of a mess we can make doing this, because it has been a very messy endeavor already. Remember to debubble. See, yeah, that dropped it down a little. Now, the thing to take into account with fruit is don't overfill it, because the fruit does expand a little bit and it does take up some of your headspace. I noticed this more with pie fillings, but I haven't done whole fruit yet, so I kind of suspect it's probably the same thing. Actually, easier to put the sugar in without the funnel, because then I don't get it all over the funnel. But if your aim is not good, use the funnel. Okay, space is totally at a premium here. This is going to be fun. But I got the next set of jars warming up for the blueberries. This is a raw pack, so I don't have to heat up the blueberries, but I am going to put in some sugar. I'm going to do the same amount. So I have been putting in slightly more than half a cup of water, and I can tell because my ladle takes half a cup. So this is just going to be the same thing. I'm going to just fill this up with blueberries. Helps if we put in a little bit of liquid first. Get rid of some of the air bubbles. And then I will just pack these in to about the same thing. It's going to be a 1/2 inch headspace. Oh, lost one. Oh well. So there we go. And then you can kind of give them a shake, and it helps them settle in there a little bit better, so you can fit a few more in. And obviously the key is to not overfill it, but you want to get it full. And then just debubble carefully. We don't want to crush them too badly. So that helps settle them too. And then in they go. And my canner has been boiling a little bit, so I've been trying to monitor the temperature just so that it doesn't need to boil, because I don't want it to boil dry. But there you go. That's basically it. So it's just lather, rinse, repeat, and away we go. So I'm just going to try to hurry through this because my cherries are now sitting in there, and I want to get these blueberries done as quickly as possible. That's that. Okay, everything is loaded. I'm going to get the lid on and get this processing. Because I hot packed the cherries, I can do 15 minutes, and the blueberries also require 15 minutes. So hopefully everything will be done in 15 minutes. So while everything is processing, I'm going to get the vinegar going. So, whoop, boy, that came out a lot faster than I thought it would. So, well, I knew I was in for a mess today, so. And I just cleaned off the counter. Lovely. Okay, so pretty much you just put it in a jar. Does not have to be full all the way. And then you top it off with vinegar. I'm using white vinegar. Don't know if it matters, but you probably don't want to use a vinegar that's going to clash with your cherries. That's it. You just let it sit for however long you want. At least a couple of weeks, and you can give it a mix every once in a while, but yeah, that's it. Easy peasy. So, I'm going to go back to the processing. So, it's going to be really hard to see, but this is how the cherries turned out. I think they turned out nicely. They're probably going to be like, obviously they'll be cooked, so they'll be soft, but these are the blueberries. But since I'm using them for baked oatmeal, I think it'll be fine. I actually really can't wait to use these. So stay tuned for that. That will be in the fall once the weather starts cooling down, and I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll have some other videos up that you might enjoy watching, and I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.